It's my absolute pleasure to introduce the incoming Texas Medical Association president and to help in that installation. In fact, I've been wearing a smile for days waiting for this to happen. Tom, as you know, I don't like to read my speeches, but you've been involved in so many things, I'm going to have to read this. In fact, Tom's full name actually is Dr. Alfredo Tomas Garcia III of Houston, Texas. Dr. Garcia is a 1971 graduate of the UT at Austin with a Bachelor of Science degree in pharmacy. He attended medical school in Guadalajara, Mexico, graduating in 1975. From there, he completed residencies and fellowships at Baylor College of Medicine, New Rochelle Hospital Medical Center, Maryland General Hospital Medical Center, Herman Hospital Medical Center, and finally the Texas Heart Institute in St. Luke's Episcopal Hospital in Houston. Dr. Garcia has been a member of the TMA Board of Trustees since 2006. He served as chair of the Committee on Cardiovascular Diseases, chair of the Board of Trustees, and was president of the TMA Foundation. And I might add to this, you didn't put this on, that he and his wife served as hosts for the Foundation Gala, and I think that almost qualifies you for sainthood. He's been a member of the delegation of the American Medical Association since 2002. He was president of the Harris County Medical Society in 2008 and has served in many other leadership capacities at the county, state, and local levels. He is an advisory committee member of the TMA Insurance Trust. A dedicated community leader, Dr. Garcia has maintained a cardiology practice in Houston for 34 years. Somewhere along the line with all this activity, he and his wife Alma have had 4 children, and now they have 2 grandchildren. He is an Eagle Scout, served numerous capacities in the Sam Houston Area Council, including Scoutmaster at 2 World Jamborees, Bangkok and London. And on a personal basis, I look forward to handing this office over to a fellow Eagle Scout. So thank you for that. And now, Tom, I think it's time for you to come up here.
Dr. Garcia.
And now it's my honor to administer the oath to Dr. Garcia. I hope you're as ready for this as I am.
I am ready. I am so ready.
Okay. Dr. Garcia, do you solemnly swear that you will carry out the duties of the office of the President of the Texas Medical Association to the best of your ability, that in all of your activities you will uphold the principles and policies of the association, that you will promote unity and cooperation among county medical societies and members of the association and with the Texas Medical Association Alliance, and that you will dedicate yourself and your office to accomplishing the association's primary mission, improving the health of all Texans.
Dr. King, I accept these duties and obligations and pledge my best efforts on behalf of our profession and the patients we serve.
Congratulations, Tom. And most people think that the pen is the most important part. It's not. It's the parking pass. So I'm going to give this to you.
He's right.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about the pen. After I was installed, the first words out of my wife's mouth after congratulations was, "You're going to lose that." Well, I didn't. And so your first challenge as president is don't lose this.
I won't lose that one. Isn't that something?
I want to introduce to you the Texas Medical Association President, Dr. Tom Garcia.
Dr. King, I'm going to present your past president's fan. Don't lose it.
Since you're not a surgeon, I won't let you pin it on me. I'll just take it.
Oh, goodness. Well, Austin, you've done an outstanding job this last year. I think you've got more miles and lunches. And when we met about 2 weeks ago, you had just had a very nice health fair in Houston, and I appreciate that lunch we had before we came here. My remarks are short, so I want to reassure Martha that we will stay on schedule, Mr. Speaker. My remarks are very short, and I first of all want to say I'm happy and very honored to accept the challenge of becoming the 150th President of the Texas Medical Association. 44 years ago, I received my Bachelor's of Science in Pharmacy here in Austin, and it's interesting, at the University of Texas. I couldn't begin to imagine that day I would be standing before you today. Just as a sideline, you all saw what happened to the Texas Medical Association building going from Lamar to 15th Street. Well, Alma and I actually used to picnic on Saturday morning under those trees. And we'd see all these people from the TMA going in and out. And one day Alma said, do you think you're ever going to get in there? I said, I don't know, but here I am. At that time, however, I was more concerned about dealing with my draft board. Now, for those of you who weren't born then, I'm just going to leave you assured there was a draft board that told us what to do. They allowed me to complete my pharmacy degree, but they didn't feel too kindly about granting me more time to study medicine, so I had three options: go to Vietnam, stay on the waiting list at San Antonio and go back to UT, or go to Guadalajara and get my MD degree. And they said, well, you go to Guadalajara thinking they don't have to pay for my tuition, and we'll send you to Saigon to become a surgeon. I graduated from the Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara in Mexico, along with 600 other American men and women. In my second year of medical school, believe it or not, my wife and I left Guadalajara at noon one Friday, drove all night to arrive in Austin, you got it, to testify before the Texas legislature considering a fifth pathway program for American college graduates that were studying abroad. 3 hours into the 18-hour drive, a liquid gas transport jackknife in a mountain pass. So Alma and I were just kind of picking our nose and looking around, and all of a sudden this car went down the side of the mountain, and I'm watching all this, crossed over this dry creek bed, drove on the other side of the bank, and got lost around the mountain pass and never came back. And I looked at Alma and I said, roll down the window. So I went down that mountain, crossed the creek bed, and I said, Alma, tell me if there's any rocks so I can, bypass them. She said, what? So she's sticking out her head. I'm trying to dodge the rocks, and I got across. We drove across on the other side of the bank, recrossed the creek, went right up the side of the bridge, and we just kept right on going. We made it to Austin, testified at the state capitol, got it out of committee, I might add, and now it is a law. That was the beginning of my experience of trying to pass a bill in the Texas legislature. So when you're talking about SGR, try to cross a creek bed sometime. The parents and medical students fought hard for that fifth pathway program here in Texas. That law, and I've checked with Darren, still stands to this day. Now, no funds have ever been approved. Maybe one day we'll get it. But that was 42 years ago. I'm very glad to be able to get a fifth pathway program in New Rochelle through the New York Medical College, and 2 years later I completed my residency in Baltimore and finally was able to return to Texas to finish a cardiology fellowship at the Texas Heart Institute. Now, I became involved in the Harris County Medical Society at the insistence of my late partner, Dr. Robert Crouch. Now, Hugh Lamensdorf, you know who Robert Crouch was. Some of you old-timers remember Robert Crouch. When you mean insistence, that means you just did it, remember? I covered his cardiology practice so that he could practice and participate with the I believe it was the Council of Legislation at the Texas Medical Association, and also confer with Senator John Tower. Some of you don't remember, you were not born then, and President George Bush 41. And he would go to Camp David and counsel him on it. And I'm sure he is smiling down at this time on these gatherings. I am really one lucky South Texas man. I just wanted to become a country doctor and raise hunting dogs and a bunch of kids. Not necessarily in that order, Alma. I didn't plan to go to a foreign country, as you recall. And I didn't plan to learn a foreign language. That's right. You heard Austin. Alfredo Tomas Garcia. He lived in Peru. He's fluent in Spanish. He's sneaky. He knows everything you're saying in Spanish. See, even with that very Hispanic name, I was raised speaking English. I'm sorry. I was living in Texas. So when I went down to medical school, learning to speak Spanish and assimilating into the Mexican culture were just some of the highlights of my medical school experience. I never planned to go to the East Coast either, half a world away from South Texas. Alice is a long way from New York, trust me. My plans took a turn I never envisioned. Most of us practicing medicine today, our plans have taken a turn we never envisioned. Today we are so burdened with EHR, meaningful use, PQRS, and every other acronym, you barely have time to shake hands with your patients, much less practice medicine. We spend more time on medical records to satisfy government and other bureaucratic requirements that our clinical acumen has taken second place, in my opinion. This wonderful, honorable profession of ours is part science and part art. It has now become a mountain of paperwork. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just populate all these things, Dr. Garcia. Page after page after page after page. Populate. Meanwhile, the patient's sitting there, what are you doing, Tom? This reminds me of that gas transport that jackknifed on that mountain 42 years ago. That's not what we envisioned. This isn't what we trained over 80 hours a week during our internships and residency, and some of us did more, as you know. We're now working those 80 hours a week and getting 40 hours of pay to do EHR. Another thing we did not envision. My fellow physicians of Texas, we are not providers. We belong, I feel strongly about that. When some of those creeps come up to me with that word, let me tell you, my karate wants to just let them have it, you know? We belong to one of the most honored and respected professions on earth. We are healers. We're at the bedsides at the start of life and helping our families and patients at the end of their lives. We do God's sacred work here on earth. We are not providers, we are physicians. We're going to have a good year. Boy, we're going to have a good year. Let us come together today. Let us pledge with me, please pledge with me, that we will work to regain the respect that is due our profession. Let us vow to regain the dignity of the work we do. Let us demand that we receive the payment we deserve. For the valuable service that we provide, we should get it. Let us stop being pressured by bureaucrats that bully us by crying fraud. Excuse me? We don't have time for that. We just have too much paperwork. We make mistakes, but that's because we're stressed beyond belief by agencies that want to quantify the treatment of our patients. How dare a clerk refute our judgment on the care of our patients? How dare we receive impunity instead of fair consideration? The moral high ground has always been part of our code of ethics. We shouldn't have to defend ourselves daily as we care for our patients. We deserve better. Our patients deserve better. And I pledge to you during this year, I will serve you and our noble profession and our patients here in Texas. Thank you. Hang on, we're just getting started, right, Patty? Those of you at the reception, I told Ike, meet Alma. Alma, meet Ike. See you in a year. As is part of our tradition, I want to introduce, one or two of my friends and family. Most importantly, my wife, Alma, who was watching out for the rocks. Now, I'm going to try my very best to look out there and try to get everybody, but if I miss somebody, please forgive me. All of you, I thank you very much for being here. First, I need to start off with my children, adult children, excuse me, Alfredo and Nicole, and my two grandchildren. Hold your applause, please. Maria Gabriela, who sang for you yesterday. Oh, and those of you who've been asking me, I think the staff is going to put it on YouTube or on the TextMed. She actually prepared that national anthem with the 3 songs in it as a special gift to you. Guillermo Garcia, and finally Carlos Garcia. And Carlos, thank you very much for helping me in the office. He's my right arm now with Alma being at home, as you all know. My family of origin, Jore, you all know Jore. He wears the hat, and his wife Cindy, and his children, Madi and Marisol, and his grandchildren. And then, of course, my sisters. And again, hold your applause. I have a lot of them. Eva, Elena, Lucinda, Anita, Lily, and Mary Ruth. Where are you? There you are. Thank you. Bob McCowan, Cassie, Alex, Matt, Nicole. Matt, yes, they're my family. Ernie Cronin and Candy, Bob Hucks, Chuck Jacobus. He and I have camped all over the place. We've showered together. When you're Boy Scouts, you have to do what you got to do. My mother-in-law, never forget your mother-in-law. Never forget your mother-in-law. Alicia, there she is. And my father-in-law, never get your father-in-law. Love you, Fidel. And then Hector, I thought I saw Hector. Irma and David. And gosh, Marie, my sisters, my cousins, Marie, we grew up together. Marie and her husband, Bill, they just came in from New York. And of course, my other cousins, Ross and his family and his wife. And if I forgot any, and then Chrissy and Mike, and let's see, who else? Ray. Anyway, I think that's enough. And if I forgot anybody, please forgive me. And I look forward to being your president in the coming year. Thank you, Mr. President.